Hey guys, I'm Hema.
And I'm Lindsay.
And welcome back to our podcast.
All right, so, okay, you go ahead.
I was just going to say, hey y'all.
Hey y'all.
Hey y'all.
Yeah, a couple things to start out. First off, we're just going to thank you guys. We did hit 1,000 streams on our podcast after releasing our latest podcast last weekend when Hema talked about PCOS. What? So yeah, so we hit 1,000 on all of our platforms. So thank you so much for listening. What else? Also, side note, we got to stop doing the Flashback Fridays because people are making me upset. I don't know if you even looked at the ones from yesterday that you did, but a lot of people are saying nay to some really good songs.
I get so butthurt every time that I do the Flashback Fridays because a lot of the songs that I put on there are, obviously like our faves.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them are like iconic songs also. So yeah, I do look at them and I do get very upset at some of the dislikes, which was, I'm pretty shook that a lot of people dislike the Taylor Swift one. I thought that one was really popping for its time.
I mean, yeah, but I'm not even a big Taylor Swift person.
I was a fan of that Taylor Swift, of like the early Taylor Swift when she actually sings like somewhat country songs. That song that I put on there is one of my favorites. Which one also did you guys hate?
I mean, Queen, when we did Queen, there was actually some people saying no to some classics, like The Show Must Go On and Radio Gaga. People were naying it.
So I'm curious to know if people are naying it because either they don't know the song or they actually don't like the song, which either way, I'll still be hurt if you don't know it.
I mean, that's true.
But I think it was the Taylor Swift one that got the most nays, I think. Yeah, it looks like it.
I don't know. And then the I Got a Feeling, I think you did yesterday too, right? Black Eyed Peas. People were naying that too. I'm like, so nay, you don't like that upbeat song, or nay, like you don't know it?
I mean, I actually have a friend who can't stand the Black Eyed Peas. So
yeah, but that song though.
Still, she like can't stand it, any song. But
I guess
y'all really did say nay to my baby Drake, which is, it's fine.
I mean, I'm not really a big Drake person either. It's just a Drake thing. It's kind of like,
my goodness.
Sorry, not sorry.
That is on my bucket list, to go see a Drake concert because he puts out pretty good shows.
Okay.
If you don't like it, it's fine. Still follow the playlist for random songs. Hey.
Yeah, it is really, really random. And speaking of that, so, last week when we were done recording, we talked about how we were going to go out. So we did end up doing that. Hema and I went and got dinner out on the town, hung out, got some movie theater popcorn. We didn't see a movie, but we did get some popcorn from a new movie theater that just opened up in front of my place. And then we sat in the car and jammed out to our playlist, the one that we're always pushing on you guys to go listen to. We just jammed some old
We did
old
jam
music.
out. We had a good time, a good save time, of course, with practicing social distancing.
Of course, we were wearing our masks. Like, you got to go see that on Instagram. If you're not following us, I'm always telling you to follow at 2Ps_ and a podcast. Go follow us there. You'll see pictures of our candid moments in the car with our masks. So we were being good. But yeah, good time.
That was fun. Good times. But yeah. How's everybody's week? You guys can answer us right now.
Right now. Yeah, let us know. I mean,
good.
We try to do those, like I said last week as well. We try to do the little midweek check-ins, and we did have some people answer in. I know it was a rough week for a lot of people.
This week was a little insane, I feel like, worldwide. With the hurricane going on, all those people who are like dealing with the floods and stuff, that is fucking insane. And then, oh Lord, I feel like everybody's vibe was definitely off last week, which hopefully we can pick it up this week. But if you didn't have a good week last week, I hope things get better for you this week. I know I didn't have such a fun week, but I mean, I feel like it's picking up a little bit as as time goes on.
Yeah, so positive vibes this coming up week.
Positive vibes after this very sad vibe podcast.
Yeah, I mean, last week, y'all don't even know, okay? It took a toll. I won't get into it too much because that's Hema's business. But I know that was a tough one, and now we're about to get into something else that's really tough for the both of us.
And it wasn't more so that the topic of PCOS was tough. It was the fact, and I know if you listen to it, you heard my little disclaimer in there. It was more so the topic of the infertility part that tend to that brought me down as I was listening to it, as I was editing it. So if you heard it and you heard my little disclaimer, I hope you understand why I did what I did. But one day I will talk about infertility and not be so bummed about it, which is hard, but one day I think I will I'll join Lindsay and have a fucking drink when that day comes around. Cause Lord. But I mean, we don't mean to be downers. It's just sometimes these topics tend to get in our head. I mean, we can't help it. It just is what it is. It's important to get it out there, but they do get in our head. So we apologize if we end up being kind of gloomy after recording sessions, but what can we do?
I mean, I was telling Hema, like this morning I woke up, my stomach was hurting, and I think it's the anxiety just of recording this because it is tough. It's not something that, at least for me, I don't go around talking about. I don't even talk about this stuff with my friends and family. So now I'm sharing on a public forum, which is really tough. So just, bear with us.
Bear with us, please. So as we mentioned, today we are going to talk about depression and anxiety. Both very, very fun things to have, right? So I just want to preface before we even talk first is that we are in me and Lindsay are both not medical professionals. We are just going to be talking about from our own experiences and what we do, if we do anything to cope with what we have. If you are having issues, please seek help. I'm going to have a bunch of numbers of hotlines down in the description bar if you're watching on YouTube, and probably put them in a description on our podcast, on Spotify and Pandora if we're able to. But again, we're not medical professionals. We're not, therapists. We're just going to tell you guys what we deal with from our point of view. If you need help, please seek it. If you need to reach out to somebody, as we've mentioned many, many times before, please reach out to us. We are more than happy to just be there and just to let you vent if you need to.
All right.
But yeah, I mean, Jesus.
Well,
where do we even start?
Depression. I'll say depression we'll talk about, I guess.
Depression is a crazy one, though, because I almost feel like there's a lot of people out there who have such a strong opinion over depression. There's people who, obviously like me and you, who are really advocating for mental health. And then there's people who don't really believe mental health is a real thing. They think it's all in your head, or that it's just an excuse for you to be the way you are.
That's true.
It's just such a taboo topic. Nobody ever wants to talk about it. And, you get people who, and I mean, maybe this goes for us too. What would you do in a situation if somebody came to you and told you straight up, I am depressed. I am in such a dark place. What do you do?
I mean, that's true. That's tough.
I have a couple of facts popped up here about depression. This one, the first one that I have up here, shook me because this is a fucking large ass number. So according to this website that I have that has the statistics of depression for this year, and this year alone, 264 million people suffer from depression.
That's
264
insane.
million people.
I thought you were going to say 1,000. So
no, this is crazy to me. Just to think about it, how you can pass somebody along the street and not know if they're going through something, That number was fucking huge when I read it.
That's something, I do want to get into also, is just how, depression isn't black and white. There's different symptoms and you don't always see the signs. I know you and I have talked about it, Hema. We're like, people sometimes assume that if you're depressed that you just lay around and you cry all day, or that you don't want to go out and you don't want to do anything. And that is not necessarily the truth.
Yeah, that one is such a, what's the word?
Misconception, I guess.
Misconception. There's another word. Oh my God, what's it called?
I mean, isn't that the word?
Well, yeah, misconception, but there's another word that I can't think of right now.
It'll come to you.
Like what you see on TV, what they show on TV of what
like
depression is like, a facade. That is not what it is. There are days, I'm not going to say there isn't. There are days where all you want to do is lay in bed.
Oh, yeah.
But whatever you see on TV with the little fucking rain cloud, following you around, that's not what it is at all.
That is, yes, that's very, like you said, that's a facade that they put on there on those commercials or on movies, TV shows. And like you said, too, yes, there are days when I don't want to do anything but lay in bed but also I don't cry very much. If you know me well, you know this, like I just don't. I mean, movies can make me cry and shows can make me cry, but about my own emotions, I don't really cry. So I'm not sitting around just bawling my eyes out all the time about being depressed. So yeah, that's just another misconception.
Well, I'm a big crybaby, but that's just even without depression.
I mean, it depends, on the person, obviously.
And that's not on even being depression. I can cry in movies and TV shows. I can cry if you catch me on a wrong day and you tell me that my shoes are ugly. I'll probably go in the restroom and cry.
No, I'm just going to be angry. I'm not going to cry about it.
No, yeah, that is a big thing, is that people have such a different perspective on what depression is. According to this, it's actually considered a disability, which, I believe that there are days where you feel like you're fucking immobile to the world and you really can't do like the day-to-day stuff. For me, on really bad days, it's really hard for me to focus on work. More specifically, now that we're working from home because of the pandemic, I just sometimes don't even have the energy to open up my laptop and start working. But I mean, obviously, if I don't, I'm fired. So I have to. But man, it is a struggle to even get to that point. And I feel like a lot of people look at that and are like, oh, no, you're just being lazy. Like, no, I just can't fucking, like, I'm numb to it. I can't do anything. I don't want to do anything. My brain is telling me I do not have the energy to do anything, and I just can't help it.
Yeah. I mean, look it up. It's not just something that we choose to have or we just choose to sit around and be sad. It's a chemical imbalance in the brain. And then there's also different types of depression. I know we talked about this, what was that, yesterday? There's I didn't even know that there was 9 different types, but there's 4 major ones. And I wrote them down somewhere. I'm trying
to it's insane how many different types of depression there is. And it's even insane the fact that there's so many different mental illnesses out there. I mean, if we were to get into it, it would be also another 10-hour episode because there's so many. So if you guys are interested in listening in on that, we might do a different type of mental illness on a different date because there's so many.
Well, yeah. So I found it. There was one, they said the top, well, these are a couple of the top ones, but the ones that I'm kind of more familiar with is the major depression, persistent depression, seasonal depression, and situational depression. It just depends. I mean, some people, I think, they're born with it and it's that chemical imbalance in the brain, but then there's also people who have the situational one, where there's something tragic that happens in their life, for instance, loss of a loved one, and that plummets them into a depression. Seasonal, sometimes different holidays, different seasons cause it. But yeah, I guess we'll talk about ours if you want.
The youngest I could remember of ever feeling a sense of hopelessness was maybe around the age of 12. I was diagnosed with anxiety at 12. And then soon after that, I felt that depression snuck on in there and completely took over, which sucks. I mean, if you think about it, God, a fucking, you're damn, a 12-year-old getting depression. Why? How? You'd be surprised at the statistics when it comes to depression / suicide rates, how they start off so fucking young. And it's sad because when you're a kid, you can tell your parents so much stuff, but what can they do? They either don't understand it, or they think maybe you're just bored and have nothing else better to do, right? Than to
Yeah, and seeking
make them
attention or something.
or seeking attention. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I also have here that more women are affected by depression than men, which I also get, because we also what's out there also postpartum depression,
Mm-hmm.
which is something that you get after you deliver a baby, which that also affects a lot of women. I think maybe 50% of my friends that I know that had babies suffered from that for a while. And it's sad to see, because you want to help them so bad, but what can you do? But I mean, obviously you're there for them, but I had a friend who told me like what she was feeling at that moment, and it broke my heart for you to feel so like hopeless and not knowing what to do. But then on top of that, having the responsibility of caring for a little one.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, she got help, and I'm glad she did, because she was heading down a very dark path. But you hear so many stories of these women who don't go seek help, and then it ends up turning tragic for the whole family.
Yeah, that's another deep topic that we'll get into at some point during this podcast, is about those darker thoughts and suicidal thoughts. We'll talk about that a little bit. But yeah, as far as like me, like I said, it's not something I've really like put out there, but I don't know why the other day when you and I talked about it and you asked me if I had been diagnosed with it, and I was like, oh no, but I was thinking about like my adult life, totally forgetting that I was when I was younger. I did go when I was in like, I want to say it was middle school to maybe beginning of high school. Mm-hmm. And I was diagnosed with depression. I was put on antidepressants. But me being young and stupid, my mentality at the time was I thought the pills. I said the pills. The pills.
The bills cause depression too.
Definitely pills do cause depression. Wow. So no, the pills were changing who I was. Like I said, that was my dumb mentality. I thought, well, this is making me like a fake happy. It's like a facade of who I am. So I just stupidly stopped taking them abruptly. And you're not supposed to do that because it makes your depression worse. But again, young, dumb. So I just quit taking those antidepressants cold turkey. And I never went back on them. And here I am at 30. So
what made like your family take you in to go get that checked out? Or what happened up to that point?
I mean, I was down a lot. I was crying a lot. I did hate life. I did have suicidal thoughts when I was younger. It began, like I said, around middle school to early high school years. I mean, I'm pretty sure I told my mom at the time, but I also did cut myself for a little bit of that time in those earlier, like I said, high school days, and nobody really knew about it. It wasn't anything like crazy. It would just be like little cuts here and there. And yeah, like I said, I was hating life. I was contemplating suicide. I would tell friends at the time that I was thinking about it. There was even a time I had planned it out in my head. I'm not going to put it out here what I had planned, but I had it like written out. This is what I was going to do. And then I reached out to a friend at the time, one of my best friends in high school, and told them, and they talked to me until I came down and decided not to do it. But that wasn't the only time. There were many times I contemplated killing myself. Yeah, I guess I went to my mom, and they took me to the doctor, and I filled out all the paperwork of how do you feel, this, and that. And so, yeah, like I said, then that's how I got on those. And then I probably should still be on them, especially now that I guess I have added on to that depression is the situational depression. After my grandmother died and my mom died, I saw a huge decline in just my everyday life, my happiness, and wanting to do the things that I used to love doing. So I probably should get back on them at some point.
Girl, it's just hard to get out there and go to a therapist, because I know I've been there where I need to, and
oh yeah,
my brain is telling me no.
Yeah, it's like, and it's a pride thing too, a little bit, at least for me. But I'm not telling anyone don't do it, because yeah, you definitely should. If you think you need help, definitely please go see a doctor. Don't be dumb like me and think that you're too good for antidepressants or something, because we're not. Sometimes we just need that help.
I mean, and it's hard, it's one of those things where you hear that saying, practice what you preach, but
mm-hmm.
God, it is fucking hard to take that step.
Oh yeah, I'm the queen of that. Like I can tell someone all day. I'm really good at telling, friends and family, you should do this and you should do that. But then at the end of the day, I'm not doing those things for myself.
Um, I also used to cut myself when I was younger, but mine lasted. Mine lasted quite a while. The thing with me is I never told anybody anything. It wasn't up until my adult life that I ended up like telling my mom and dad, and this was literally maybe like 2 years ago, so very recent, that I told them that I'm depressive, and I never said anything because if you listen to other previous podcasts, you know that I am a very sickly human being. I knew something was wrong. I knew something wasn't right for sure. Like just the way I felt like my brain, especially with the anxiety, was like consuming me. I knew it wasn't right, but I just did not want to tell my parents because in my head at the time, these guys have already taken me to so many doctors for so many different things that I didn't want to be a burden and have them take me somewhere else. For many, many years, it was just a silent secret that I had. I did used to cut myself. Yeah, the youngest I remember was around 13 up until like my mid 20s, which is insane because I never tell anybody that. And I never did it where it was visible. I used to do it like on my thighs where nobody was going to look at my fucking legs. And even if I were to wear shorts, I would get covered up. But I also never went like too deep. It was also just like minor, like surface scratches, but
Yeah,
obviously up to the point where you would bleed.
Mm-hmm.
For me, when I used to inflict pain on myself, the only reason I did it was I wanted to feel something physical instead of something emotional, if that makes any sense at all.
I mean, that's a big reason that people do it. I mean, is they're trying to feel something yet other than those emotions that are in their head.
Other than feeling like pain in my head, I wanted to feel the pain in my arm. That's what I used to do. And again, I never tell this to anybody. I don't do it now. I haven't done that in a long time, but that was just a way that I used to cope with it.
Yeah, so say, please don't reach out to us and ask if like we're okay and like call somebody or anything. We don't do that yet anymore. I left that behind early high school days. So,
as far as the suicide goes, man, I've had those thoughts for decades now. They were more stronger back in the day than they are now. But I only have had one attempt in my life. But that's not to say that I don't get moments where I feel hopeless enough that I don't want to be in this planet anymore. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and tell you that those feelings aren't gone completely. There are days when I wake up and I do feel angry at the universe, but I've been doing certain exercises to like get rid of those feelings, but I don't know if it'll ever go away. That's one thing like why it's so important to go seek help because certain medications probably do just mask the fact that you are sick and you have like this chemical imbalance in your brain. It's also something that could probably help you save your life. Again, like I said, it is hard to, practice what you preach. It's hard to fucking make that jump.
Yeah, I mean, like I said too, I should go. I keep saying that, but maybe now, like doing this podcast, it's going to push me to do it. It's just also hard because I don't have insurance right now and I don't have a job. So it's tougher for me.
Also, that should be, I feel like mental health should be something that's fucking free. Not everybody has insurance. And even if you were to go see a therapist with no insurance, I want to say it's like $200 a session.
Yeah, and you obviously need a lot of sessions. So yeah.
And you need a lot of sessions. And that's even not including you having to pay for your medication. I don't get why seeking mental health ain't free at this point. After you see it all the time, even like especially with like teenagers, how they get so succumb in social media and then they get bullied and then they end up taking their own life. Or same thing with like army vets who you hear end up committing suicide because they don't get the help that they need because they don't have, I don't fucking get how even for them it's not free. I don't understand it.
I don't get it either. I don't know. It's messed up. Hopefully in our lifetime, they'll have it where it is free, especially for veterans and just people who need it, and teens. I was a big advocate for, and I still am, I mean, to this day, but it started, when I was in school. I was a big advocate for people who were bullied. I was always standing up for people, and I still do to this day, about not bullying people. And I know that's like kind of off topic, but I mean, it does have a lot to do with, the depression and suicide rates. So be kind to people, because you don't know what they're going through.
It does. I'll tell you that I won't like name any names or say who it was, but one of the main number one reasons why I did what I did when I was 13 is because of words. Mm-hmm. It's crazy how much words can hurt you. And I was already like feeling down at 13. It's during the period in my life where my body was going through crazy changes and my health was really up and down. So my physical appearance was changing a lot and out of my control. And then you get people who you think would never say anything to you, or people who are in your life and are supposed to take care of you and protect you. They end up saying things that they don't, in their head, they're not thinking it's going to be hurtful. But when you say something to a 13-year-old girl and then think that it's okay, I mean, it blows my mind. When it comes to like young girls and their self-esteem, I am such an advocate for not bringing people down at that age specifically, because here I am many, many years later, and every now and then I still hear that fucking statement in my head. It will literally send me down a spiral for the week if I hear it. Don't judge people. I don't know how hard that is for people to understand.
Seriously.
Like, and you never know what people are going through.
I don't get how bullies, like how their mentality works. I've never understood that. Like how you could be just so blatantly mean to another human being for no apparent reason. Like just to be a bully.
They definitely have some insecurities and have way more worse issues that they don't know of. But still, I don't get how you even get to that point. I mean, I have the most insecurities that I know of, and I'm never going around telling people like, oh, you look like this, you're stupid. Like, why would I? In my case specifically, like, you never know what the fuck's going on. Depression is a chronic illness. Anxiety is a chronic illness. And chronic illnesses tend to be invisible. You can be out and about and having the time of your life, and your head is just fucked up and you have no control over it. And that goes for anything. Somebody could be dealing with like a major illness and you never know about it.
Exactly. And you said, how many people was it again that have been, you said diagnosed, like, what was it this year? 200 and what? So it's like 264 million or something.
264 million.
Okay, yeah. So imagine like a big number like that, like 264 million people, and how many people you pass every day, whether on the street or at school or at work, that are dealing with that depression and are most likely hiding it that you don't even know. So just, again, I emphasize, be kind to everyone around you. You don't know what they're dealing with, and you don't know how close that someone is to that edge.
Yeah, and it's not hard minding your own fucking business, depending on how people are looking or acting. Like, obviously, if it's someone who you love and are close to, if they're acting a different way, be there for them. But I'm talking more so about a stranger. Like, I'm not going to, if I see, because I've been there. I've been to the point where I don't brush my fucking hair all day and it's just like a knotted mess. And I go out in the street looking like I just woke up. And I've been there because you get moments where you don't want to get all dolled up and get ready for the day. I'm not one to talk if I see another woman or a dude the same way. Like, who am I to say, oh my gosh, she really went out like that? Like, why would I? It's none of my business. Yeah. All I do is like, I'm hoping that they're okay, and I move on with my life. I don't get why it's so hard for people to mind their own.
I highly agree. You do not know what kind of personal demons that somebody is dealing with.
Yeah, and not even like just depression wise. Like, I feel like we're going off like on a bullying tangent, but even like,
but it has to do with that though. That all ties into,
even like, so if you don't know, like yesterday there was an actor that died. He was on Black Panther. He's Chadwick Boseman. He had stage 4 pancreatic cancer and didn't tell a soul. And I was reading through it, and there was times when he would do like Instagram lives, and he obviously looked like he lost a lot of weight, but you looked at the comments that people were ragging on him. They were telling him like, somebody feed this man, or it looks like a fucking one of those like feed a kid commercials. Like people are mean.
They're fucking ruthless.
And now us knowing like what he passed away from, like he died from fucking cancer. That's what I'm saying. Like, you don't know what people are going through. This guy was fighting silently. Mm-hmm. And with something like complete, like cancer is a bitch. And people were still, again, they're not minding their own, and they're pinpointing like other little things that don't affect them personally. It's infuriating. Like, I get so infuriated when it comes to like bullying, because it's maddening how people can like be mean to one another. And then it's crazy that even like people who you consider people who love you, quote unquote, and protect you, could also be your worst bullies.
That is very true. Sometimes you don't even realize it, but it's the people around you, your own quote unquote friends, that are bringing you down. Just saying.
It's maddening, I tell you, maddening.
It is maddening. And I know now we're going on this whole tangent about bullying, but it does have a lot to do with, people being depressed and taking their lives. So it ties in.
I don't know. I mean, we can go on and on about bullying. Maybe this will be like another podcast topic and we'll just be angry there, but I feel fired up.
I know I do now. Now I just want to go out and find all the bullies and like beat the shit out of them.
Stop bullying. It's not hard to mind your own, people. Like, keep it to yourself. Worry about you and your loved ones. Don't focus on everybody else's issues that they have around them. You don't know what they're dealing with. Yeah. You really don't. You can say like the wrong thing to them, and that can be the thing that pushes them over the edge, and they do something that is tragic. And it sucks because some of these bullies don't even know that they did that, and then they live the rest of their life doing whatever and not knowing that they just caused this tragic situation for a family, and they don't know that. They're still living on, like, going on. And
exactly, just living their life. It's like why it's also important for empowering other people as well and complimenting people. I try to do that myself. If I'm out and about and I see something that I like on another person, some woman's wearing a cute top or nice shoes, or she has really pretty hair or something like that, comment that, just be like, hey, like, I love your shirt. I love your shoes. You look beautiful. Something like that. Trust me, it might make all the difference and turn their whole day or maybe even like their year around. Maybe that's the only nice thing they hear.
But the most important one is just to mind your own.
Yeah, just do that.
Just worry about you and your bubble. I'll never understand why people don't tend to do that. But what's also a good thing to do? And I know I get super happy when this happens to me. Have you ever gone to Starbucks or any place and the person in front of you like pays for your drink or buys your order? Have you ever had that happen to you?
I mean, it's very rare, but I have had it happen, yes.
So every now and then, like, that happens to me. That happened to me most recently. I went to Dunkin' Donuts just to get a coffee. It wasn't even like that big of a deal because their coffee was just $1.50. But like, I got to pay, and she's like, "Oh, the lady in front of you like paid for your coffee," and I was like, like that, like literally like brightened up my day. And so I ended up paying for the person's behind me. Like, I was like, "Oh, well, if they got something, like, I'd like to pay for it." I think they got like some donuts, and I was like, "Okay, well, go ahead." Like, even just like paying it forward, like, not only will you feel good about it, but you'd never know if that person behind me was having like a rough day and just wanted to go get some donuts and fucking dig in. That person must have been elated. They're like, "Oh shit, I just got some free donuts." Cause I know damn well when I get a free coffee, I'm over there going on social media and being like, "I got a free coffee, y'all. I'm so happy."
Oh yeah.
Like, it's the little things.
For sure. Like, I'm easy to impress in a way. It doesn't take much to like make me happy. Like, for real, if I was just out and about and someone's just like, "Hey, I want to buy that for you." Yeah. If it's just $1 coffee, it's not about the dollar. It's the fact that somebody cared enough to think of me to take care of something for me that I don't have to do.
Exactly. So. And it's just the little things. Not saying also that you have to go like spend your money just to make somebody feel good, but it's just the little things, whether it's opening the door for somebody or shit, even offering, if you have like a ton of groceries and the person behind you has a little bit, like, let them go, like, be like, you go ahead.
Yeah, there was
I'm
actually
here a while.
It was like last week when I went to the store it was like I was waiting in a line and there was a lady that was next to me in the next line over waiting. And then all of a sudden the lane opened up and we both at the same time took off to go to that open lane. And I only had a couple things, but even then I still looked at her like she had quite a few things, but I just kind of said like, hey, like, you go ahead. And she's like, no, you go ahead. And we did that a couple of times. And I'm just like, okay, I'll go. But I mean, it was the fact that like, even though, yeah, I had less things, I still try to be kind. It's like, oh, like, go ahead. It's not that big a deal, you know?
Yeah.
So,
It is the little things. It's not that hard to be a nice person.
It's not. It takes more energy to be a mean person.
Seriously, I don't know how. I don't understand.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Wow.
we're going to go on a tiny little break and we will be right back and we'll continue on our topic with depression. We haven't even dived in with the anxiety, but we'll see how it goes after this break. So we will be right back.
All right.
Hey y'all, I wanted to take a quick minute to talk to you guys about Anchor, the app we're currently using right now to create this podcast. One of the best things that I love about Anchor is that not only can you record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer, it is absolutely free to use. Not only that, Anchor will distribute your podcast for you, so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and many more. And guess what? You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's literally everything you need to make a podcast in one place. So get to it. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Happy podcasting. And we're back.
Yes. So, where do we jump back in from here?
I don't even know. I'm honestly like now in a semi little food coma from my chips that I had during our break. My stomach's all sticking out. I should have unbuttoned my pants. I didn't even eat that much. It's the juice. I get so bloated with liquids. TMI. Sorry. I don't care. I'm unbuttoning my pants.
Okay. Well, while Emma takes off her clothes.
Letting the people know.
Well, I guess we'll just hop back in.
I know we had to cool down after our little bullying tangent.
Yeah, we vented a little bit more about it when we went on our quote-unquote break. So we call it a break, but it's just a break from talking to you guys. We still just keep talking and going on a tangent about all the things we just said all over again.
Seriously, I think we like even went on a more of a tangent during our break. You were like yelling. I was telling Lindsay that I was like punching my pillow.
Heck, we were like, I want to find all the bullies and just beat the shit out of them.
I just want to fight them. I mean, in all reality, they just need help, man.
They do.
It's hard to get them that help because they don't think they need it. So
true. Try not to take it personally because they're just dealing with their own shit. And who knows, they could be depressed themselves and that's just their coping mechanism.
Which is why it is so important for like you to get any help if you need any, and why it's just, again, I bring it up. I sound like a broken record. I don't understand why mental health care isn't accessible for everybody. But hopefully in our lifetime.
I agree. But yeah, so I was telling Hema over the break, I also wanted to talk about Robin Williams. I'm going to use him as an example. One of the greatest comedians and actors of our time. When you think of Robin Williams, what do you think? You think comedy, you think funny, you think happy. He did a lot of different roles. He did serious, he did funny, he did animation, he did a lot of different things. So you wouldn't know, unless you personally knew him, I guess, like maybe his wife, that he was clinically depressed. And I was also telling Hema that I read it on an article actually yesterday that he didn't, well, we don't know for sure, obviously, but they think he didn't commit suicide due to the depression. He did have dementia, but obviously having depression, getting that diagnosis of dementia, of course, probably didn't help. But I say all that just to say that, again, you don't know what someone is going through. And a lot of people, I know myself included, sometimes I use that, I don't know if facade's the word, but I use, my humor and my laughter and just having a good time and being funny as kind of like that. Yeah, it's like a face, to kind of cover up those emotions that are deep down. So just saying, you just don't know.
Yeah, and he spent most of his career like focusing on making people happy or bringing joy to people through film. I loved him. I loved a lot of his movies.
Yeah, he made a career out of making people laugh. And some of my favorites, I absolutely love Mrs. Doubtfire. Sounds like one of my
That one's a good one. That
top.
one's a classic.
Oh, yeah.
I for sure loved him in Aladdin, and
Oh,
then
yeah.
Hook is one of
Mhm.
my favorite movies as a kid, and I loved him in Hook. He did so good in that one, but he was just such a versatile actor. It's just crazy.
For sure. Um, so what was that word again that you said over the break that you forgot? Now I forgot already again.
That's okay. So earlier we were talking about like what the cliche form people think about when they think about depression. The word I was thinking about is stereotype.
There you
There's
go.
such a stereotype when it comes to depression. People think of it as one way as, yeah, you're crying all the time and you're just locked in your room and you have that little cloud over your head, but that's not the case at all. You can be out and about having the time of your life and you still have those demons in your head. Don't
So,
believe the stereotype. It's not true. Don't
yeah.
also come at people. If you see people out there having a good time and you know that they have depression, don't come at them and tell them they're not supposed to do that. Like, you don't know.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, it is that stereotype, yeah, that everybody that has depression is just sad and they don't want to do anything. And there are times, yes, when I don't want to do anything. There's times when I don't really want to talk with people, or there's even friends that I've pushed away in the past that have tried to hang out and I've pushed them off. I don't even know if they listen to this podcast, but if you do, I'm sorry. It's part of the depression in me that sometimes I just push people away. But at the same time, I do try to get out sometimes, go out and enjoy my time. And I can go out and have fun. And when I'm out, I'm not just sitting there like depressed in my head about life. I can manage to get out and do things, and it does take my mind away from it. So don't think you can invite me out thinking that if I go out with you that I'm just going to be upset the whole time. It's not like that. That actually gets my mind off
Yeah.
of it. So yeah, we'll talk about, I guess right now too, like the kind of things that we do to cope with it and, ease it, I guess, a little bit. And that's one of them. If I do get out, go to the mall, I'm a big moviegoer. I love going to the movies. That always takes my mind off of things. You guys should know this by now, but playing video games, big one. Anything that's going to take my mind away from thoughts, I will do.
Stuff that I like to do to manage it or at least get distracted, I love listening to music, all kinds of music. I will just blast it on and just have the time of my life just jamming out. Whether it's like happy music or sad music, I just love music. It's something that has always helped me to distract myself from my mentality. Going out to go get like my nails done or pedicures, even just window shopping, even if I don't buy anything at all, that helps to take away some of the sadness going on in my brain. Again, with the quarantine and stuff, I don't do it as often as I would like to, but every now and then, obviously with practicing safe distancing, I do still like to go at least get a pedicure, man. It's really important for you to even have like me time. I feel like setting aside time just for yourself, even if it's just like a once a month thing, is very important. Self-care is such like a big part of coping with anything mentally. I feel like that should go the same for guys too. Like I feel like guys tend to like think that it's like such a feminine thing to do, and I don't think that at all. Like if you're a guy and you're suffering from depression or you need to get out and have something done for you, go get your hair cut, go get a pedicure. Dudes can get pedicures. I don't know why it's such like a baffling thing. Like go get a massage. If you need time to just sit back and play your game, do it. If you're living with a partner who isn't like so happy when you do gaming, talk to them. Communication is like so key when it comes to dealing with mental illness. If you have responsibilities, obviously, like tell your partner like, hey, I am going through it right now. I just need a couple of hours to play. I feel like when it comes to like men and depression, it's also very taboo because men have such a high expectation to be strong all the time.
Oh yeah, that macho facade they put on.
But they have these people telling them, oh, well, you're a man, you can't cry. And that's not the truth at all. Like, don't think of it that way. If you're a man and you're dealing with your issues, you are allowed to feel.
I remember when, it was coming time to my mom's passing and we were going to take her off of life support. I remember, me, obviously a sobbing fucking mess. But then there was one of my brothers, Clint, who he had such like a poker face, and he didn't cry. He held it together. He walked me through the whole process and everything. And then it wasn't until later on, like, maybe a year later or something, that he was like, yeah, I felt like at that time I had to be the strong one. I had to be, kind of like the man, like the head of the house, and, help people with their emotions. And that made me feel bad looking back, that like, I didn't want him to feel that way, that he couldn't cry and let out his emotions like everybody else. But he felt like sometimes they feel as a man that they have to be that strong one. And that's not the case. You also have to grieve yourself.
We'll maybe dig more deep in this when it comes to like loss, because I feel like also loss has a lot to do with, I know what you mentioned with situational depression. Mm-hmm. It's just, it's okay. It's okay to not be yourself. You don't have to put on a facade, as easy as it is for me to say. But again, if you're a man out there and you feel like you're not being heard, go seek help. Go to those hotlines and just talk to somebody.
Yeah, you are human. You do have emotions. You go through things just like we do. So it is okay to let it out. Yes, get help. Do whatever you got to do. Because, I know I'm guilty of that. I don't like to go to people and be like, hey, I'm feeling low and I'm feeling this and that. And I usually just deal with it myself, which probably isn't the best, but I need to start working on it. Plus, I've always just been more of like the caretaker. That's just who I am. Like, I like to care for other people and deal with their problems instead of facing my own. That's probably dumb, but that's just what I do.
That's just having a good heart.
Maybe.
It's tough having a good heart.
It is. I care too much about other people, and then I don't open up about myself. That's, it is what it is.
You know what I've wanted to start to do, or what I've been meaning to start out, is meditating. And I used to do it like way back in the day.
Oh yeah, I should definitely do that as well. I used to do it too, like years ago. It's been a hot minute, but I used to also meditate, and that does for sure help. But then again, it's also hard for me because living in an apartment, if you live in an apartment, it's really noisy all the time. So it's really hard to find like that Zen place to just quiet.
I normally just pop on in my headphones, and YouTube's actually a good source for you to find like any type of affirmation video or just meditation music. If you're somebody who wants to try it out, I recommend getting some headphones, plugging them in, and shutting the lights out if you can, laying down and just let yourself go. Mm-hmm. I know we didn't really dig deep into the anxiety part of it. It just ties in with it. I still get really frequent panic attacks, very frequently. I'll tell you now, I maybe have a panic attack at least twice a week.
Damn.
It sounds maddening, but
yeah.
They just hit me out of nowhere. I could be having like the time of my life out there, and all of a sudden it's like my brain almost shuts down. And that goes the same as we mentioned with depression, how you shouldn't follow the stereotype. The same thing goes with anxiety and panic attacks. Not every panic attack is the same or looks the same. Sometimes you just go completely numb. I don't know how to explain it. It's like I black out and I go into autopilot.
Yeah, like you said, we didn't anticipate, I guess, like the depression part taking that long. So yeah, we don't have a lot of time to cover the anxiety, but same thing. I never was actually like diagnosed with that part. The depression, yes. The anxiety, I didn't ever go to a doctor for it, but I can tell you all of my symptoms of anxiety. For instance, even talking about it, like I was telling Emma before we even started today, I was like, I'm anxious about the podcast. It's going to get me.
Leading up to this week, my anxiety was a little through the roof, maybe a little less than last week's podcast, but it was up there for sure.
And, like you said about the panic attacks, I was telling him earlier, a lot of the times like, we talk about these things before we even get on the podcast. So it's like we're repeating it to each other. But that I used to get full-on panic attacks, but it was like more so in my early 20s, and I haven't really had them for a while. I mean, there's times, yeah, where I freak out about things, but not so bad as it used to be, where I'd have to step outside and take deep breaths, and you feel like you're going to die, like your chest is closing up on you. But just know that that's not the case. You're not dying. Because I remember people used to tell me that, and I would look into it and you're fine. But it doesn't feel that way when you're having an anxiety attack.
It almost feels, as scary as it sounds, it feels like a heart attack, especially because of the chest pains.
Yeah. I remember one time we called an ambulance. This is back when I was living at home. I was still living with my mom, and I started to feel like a panic attack coming on. But this was before I really knew that that's what that was. I just knew like my heart was beating out of my chest, and I felt like I couldn't breathe, and I thought something's seriously wrong. So we called an ambulance, and then they got there and they told me, like the medics inside in the living room, they're just like, like you're fine, you're having a panic attack. Then I felt stupid. But so yeah, it can feel that way. But yeah, I get them when I'm just, it's a long list probably, but anything can make me anxious, like doing an errand, you really need to do, putting something off. Maybe it's meeting someone I haven't seen in forever, or doing one of these podcasts that make me nervous,
or even thinking about going to go see a therapist is also what's holding me back, if I'm going to be honest. That's what my anxiety is, just probably one of the reasons why I haven't gone to see a therapist to get medication for both depression and anxiety. It's crazy to me how this fucking shit works. Right. You need to go get help, but then also the illnesses that are holding you back are the reason why you can't go get the help. Oh my God.
Yeah. Like maybe a normal person would be like, oh, I need help. I need this. Okay, I'm going to go do it. But someone who deals with these things like so deeply, it's like, it makes me very anxious to think about going to meet with someone and talk about my problems, or even like now sitting here talking about, I'm like playing with my, my headphones, just like anxiously moving. That's what I do when I'm anxious.
Yeah, so. And that goes for anything, even besides going to go get your mental health check. Even like a regular doctor visit, I am on edge the whole time. And I've been there, done that for 26 years of my life. And it's still, going to the doctor is agony for me. I already have high blood pressure, but every time I go, my blood pressure is always through the roof. Usually the nurse like takes it one time and then she's like, I'm going to let you calm down.
Oh yeah,
say it again.
That happens to me too. Yeah, every time I do, which is rare when I need to go to the doctor. But I mean, when I do go, same thing. Yeah, they do my blood pressure, and then she's like, okay, like, we're gonna let you calm down for a minute. It's like, okay, I'm anxious.
I'm sorry. You're scary.
But yeah, also like arguing, confrontation gives me high anxiety. I don't like arguing with people. I don't like confrontation at all. I don't like having to complain when I go out, like go to a restaurant or somewhere where you need to complain to a manager. It gives me high anxiety. So a lot of the time I don't even say anything.
I've had that where you go and you order your food and it maybe doesn't taste the way you want it and you don't like it. This is why I don't try new things. Okay, see, this is why people that have anxiety don't try out new things because we're scared.
Yeah,
I'm not going to try it or I'm not going to like it. I've done that at restaurants where I order something new where I'm like, you know what, I'm going to be brave and I'm going to order this. And then I absolutely hate it. And then the waitress or waiter come by and they're like, how's your meal? And you're like, it's great.
Oh, it's great.
My new favorite dish. And then deep inside, you're like, fuck this. I don't want it.
Yeah. And I don't want to say anything because like I said, the thought of just, them looking at me like, like she doesn't like our food or she's complaining just gets me so anxious.
I guess one thing before we like tie everything like together and like close the podcast is, especially right now during quarantine time, all this pandemic stuff and everything that's going on in the world and the protests and just everything, especially now with also election time coming up and you see all these things in your social medias. If you can find a time of the day to just shut it all down. Get off your phone, get off your Facebook, especially Facebook for one. Facebook for me, I feel like I'm using it less and less because, for me, I'm an advocate for being informed and figuring out what's going on in the world. But especially during this time when everything's all jumbled up together, because 2020 has been a fucking bitch, you need to find some time and just shut off your phone. don't look at it. Don't
This is
listen
true.
to the news for a while. Take some time to just do stuff around the house, watch movies, watch Netflix, listen to music.
Yes, like I know it's kind of going back, but because you went on your little, your spiel there, but the whole Facebook thing, that's like a whole other can of worms, so I won't go like deep into it. And I think we even did mention it one time in another podcast. I could be wrong, or at least I thought about talking about it. Is just the fact that Facebook can cause people, it is like clinically proven, if you look it up, it talks about how Facebook can cause you to be depressed because we do compare our lives to other people. And there's also so much negative on there, and you have the news. And I even told you, I mean, you saw, because like we put up the midweek check-in, and one of my friends wrote in saying that since they cut the news out of their life like this week, that they've already felt better about themselves, just watching like less of the news. Yes, it's good to be informed, but at the same time, those things, there's a lot of negative out there. So it's good to just take that break, decompress, unattach from Facebook. I'm on it way less than I used to be. I used to be like a Facebook fanatic, but I was always on there just scrolling like, what was that doing for me? Nothing. I would just be scrolling through Facebook and, oh, this person's happy and look at this and look at that, and comparing myself to people, realizing that they have their own issues as well. So I'm not on there that much. I'm more on Instagram. It seems to be happier over there. And we have mainly nothing but like other podcasters on Instagram. So it's all good there.
Yeah, and that's just also a reminder that not everything you see on social media is real. So don't compare yourself. I think we mentioned this in our millennial podcast where we're talking about how the social media just takes over, it consumes everybody. Again, we're not one to talk. We're part of like our whole podcast thing is to be on social media, but I mean, we also take those breaks. Me and Lindsay will hang out and just game for a little bit, just to decompress from everything that we do. Just go live your life. Just go do some other things. Go walk your pupper, hang out with your babies, hang out with your hubby, with your wife, play some games, clean your house. There's so many things you can do to just disengage. That's what we need sometimes, just to remind ourselves that it is okay to disengage from reality for a bit.
Yeah. I mean, I would say something else, but you just nailed it. Like, nailed the end of that podcast. So there's nothing left to say. Drop mic.
I know. Yeah. So I hope you guys, found this informative. If you're suffering with this along with us, we're here for you. We feel for you. I know we didn't really go into the anxiety part. If you guys find this interesting, again, maybe we can bring it up on another topic, but I feel like it ties in together. So we may be solid on that part.
Yeah. I think we covered the important points of that. But yeah, we just hope you guys learned something from this. Like Emma said earlier at the beginning of the podcast, we will put some links in the description if you're listening to this on YouTube, and we'll try to do that also on Spotify or Pandora or Apple Podcasts, wherever. Just some links for you guys if you're having suicidal thoughts or you just need someone to talk to. But again, also you can come to us. You can always message us on Instagram or our email, which we also always attach in the bio. Or the link. Yeah. Anything else?
I guess I'll say plug myself in there for a bit. I haven't been the best at keeping up with my blog right now. And also last week was really hectic, as we mentioned earlier. It was a little crazy, but I do have a blog and my Instagram where I post like my journey to living life happy and healthy. So if you want to look into that, the links will be in the bottom.
Plus, we have all the links on our Instagram, like at the top in our bio, which you should be following. I say that every single week, but it's true. Again, 2Ps_ and a podcast. But yeah, we have all of the links up in our bio, a little link tree. Everywhere that you can find us. Also attached is Hema's Instagram and her blog. And we even have a gaming channel. I know we haven't really been on it as much, but we do get on there sometimes, so check us out.
Yeah, if you're somebody who likes to watch like gameplay, I love to watch gameplay. That's another thing that I like to do to disengage, is watch other people play. But we do have it. It's out there. You can come chat with us and we can chit chat and stuff. Subscribe also if you haven't. If you're on YouTube, please subscribe. Please like the video. It helps us. It lets us know that you guys are liking these, and we'll continue to do some more.
Yeah, that's why we really do push the YouTube. People probably wonder, like, why do we push YouTube when we have all these other platforms? But it's because on YouTube, we can see if you guys are liking or disliking these podcasts. You can also comment on there, and we can see our subscribers. So we definitely like using that. We're always answering people, talking to people. So
If you have anything that you'd like for us to talk about, again, drop it down in the comments or send us a DM. We will definitely look into that and add that to our list of episodes.
For sure. And we don't know what we're going to be talking about next week. We've gone so back and forth, and I know that's 100% on me because we've been talking about doing the Lost episode, and part of me is ready to do it, but then another part is like, these have been so tough the last 2 weeks that I don't know. So in order to find out what we're going to be doing, just follow us on Instagram. So yeah, once again, just thank you so much for tuning in today, and we hope that you will join us again next Sunday night.
Thanks, guys.